Ooh, all right. Hello, everyone. It's actually nice to see a few people in chat. Even and any is more than I was expecting. So, thanks for being here. I hope all of the audio settings are okay. This is the first time I've done any kind of stream on YouTube at all, so that's why I was just double checking the settings, making sure everything seemed to be okay. Do just type in chat, let me know if anything sounds off, if the balances sound whack or anything like that, and I'll try and fix it as best I can. Right, so, yeah, so with my first first stream on this, it's been a long time since I've tried streaming anything music-wise. So as you can see, I have actually had some work I've done on the Dragon Chan Super Punch Out music already. It's been an interesting thing to work on because it's in a style where I've tried to recreate the Enter the Dragon style main theme. It really is what I was heavily referencing. Tell you what, actually, I'll just play you what I've got so far. It's not quite exactly in the same sort of sections as I have it in the full videos. They're a little bit jumbled around, but you should get a bit of the opening, a sort of rough go generally of the main theme, and you'll be able to hear, you'll recognize the sections. So I'll just play those. So yeah, those are the bits so far. I'm sure I'm sure all you guys in here are Super Punch Out fans and Punch Out fans in general, so you'll recognize these sections there so far. We've got the intro sort of cutscene music, we've got the general round music, a little bit of the pause music. I know that normally in the game, it's always just a cut down version of the usual round music. I've done what I've done on a couple of my ones where I've actually changed the instruments slightly, but I don't know if I'm going to maybe add them back into the main theme. I would like to sort of flesh it out a little bit, maybe put a bit more of the brass in the main round, and then there's of course the Little Mac being knocked down section. My problem with this is, and what I've been puzzling through, and I thought maybe a stream might sort of get me to kick my brain in gear while I'm thinking this through, is things like the opponent knockdown music. So in the other versions and everything like that, it's always the main theme, it's a minor theme, it's in a particular key, and then the victory music and the opponent knockdown music to be, you know, it's meant to be happy, you're winning, basically, always goes into the relative major key. Now the problem is, all that I'm referencing on here is the, as I said, the Enter the Dragon main theme, and that's in a minor key. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what I do to sort of keep the same feel, the same vibe that I've got going on here, but also make it major, give it, you know, the actual feel, follow the actual music. I mean, as with many of these things, and I know in the actual Punch-Out Wii music, like for example the Knockdown one, it's not exactly the same as the original music was all the way. You can listen to it again. So I changed that last little bit of it, instead of the full tone moved down. Da, 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 da. Sorry about my singing, I'm a little bit rusty, but so I'm perfectly happy to be flexible about those kinds of things. So I'm sure I'll be able to figure something out, and I've done it for all of the other ones, of course, and figured out ways. It's just when I'm trying to make it so close to trying to reference the Enter the Dragon theme so much, it makes it a little bit more difficult to fully just change everything up. Also, as you can see here, none of my previous bits of music have actually used samples before, so I've got like the I got myself some sample packs. So as you can hear, there's quite a nice little funky guitar sound. And just for the main, just that kind of scratchy, funky guitar going to the back of it. So been trying to figure out how best to use that. I've ended up with, as I do when I work through these things, there's a lot of very repeated sections, so that guitar I might change out some of the samples. But yeah, that's just a little quick overview of what I've got so far. So I have had this in the background off and on for a good while, actually. As I was starting working on this at the same time as in fact, before the Mad Clown one. I actually ended up doing the Mad Clown one just when I couldn't really think of a way to properly get the feel of this one. And I came back to it, and then I left it, and then I came back to it again. It's the way it goes sometimes with this. So what I'm actually going to do to actually get some work going on, what section could do with, I'm just gonna apologize. I'm probably going to be skipping through and listening to things. I tend to re-listen to things a few times over, especially when I'm trying to look for what to work on. So just give this another listen. So since that's meant to be the pause music, I'm going to actually just shuffle this along a bit, give it some more room, and actually give it the full treatment. So the demo, the pause music is always a full cycle of the theme. So what I'll do is I'm just going to straight up copy that, paste it in again. Just lined up. I probably could find a better way to get this to line up a bit more neatly, and then figure out, oh, and of course actually it's got those first two bars. How can I turn that on? So I don't want the brass, I want to be a little bit more muted. The brass that I've got in this section is a lot more of just that little sort of extra funk bit, rather than that big blaring brass that I have at the beginning. So let's just actually give it that room, and then figure out, so it's four, so just give it that room. I think my settings are slightly funky. I'll have to figure that out at some point, but so yeah, let's just copy the guitar sample straight in there again. That's straight in there. The bongo, well, conga actually, which I've got just running through as well. And actually, I'm trying to remember how different my drums are between these sections. Is that actually any different? No, I actually kept it the same, so I can probably... So yeah, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to straight up copy that in as well. Keep it. That's the benefit of something like this. It makes it a bit easy to figure out. You can just copy and paste and then maybe change a few things in and out. I think it really makes my job easier when the method that they seem to do for the pause music was just cutting things down. Well, sorry, I've been neglecting you guys in chat. As you can tell, I'm not used to streaming, so actually having people there to engage with is a new thing really for me. Rona's. So yeah, my instruments, I've got actually quite a few different kinds of instruments. So yeah, tell you what, I'll give you a rundown of what I've got here. So my bass guitar, I've got the Impact Soundworks Shreddage Precision bass. Oh, hey Fetten. Or Fetinsky. Nice to see you here too. So yeah, bass precision for shreddage. I've also got a shreddage Stratus guitar. So these are all Impact Soundworks. So Impact Soundworks are one of the main ones I get some VSTs from. I've got some of the Spitfire Audio orchestral ones. They've served me quite well. So I've got orchestral percussion, got the conga, got claves, got the 70s drums. Who Abbey Road is? Which company does Abbey Road? I think that's actually Native Instruments. So yeah, Native Instruments, the 70s drummer. You can see I've got a couple of the other ones as well. In fact, there's a few which I've actually got and I haven't actually installed yet. I really need to get a beefier computer to get all of my samples on, because I've even though I've loaded up some hard drives, combining a gaming computer with a music making computer really should splash out a little bit and actually get myself probably 2 separate dedicated computers for each. What else do we have? The violins, yep, that's Spitfire again, violins legato. We've got the string ensembles. So if you might remember those who, if you've heard the things like the Piston Hurricane one, that very salsa brass, that's from 8DO. I can't remember what they call it in their new, they've changed everything, which is rather annoying when I was trying to look up some of the names I remembered, because it used to be like the Fire Salsa trumpet, and now it's changed to the Sound Paint 1970s trumpet or something like that. Got some flutes from Spitfire again, xylophone from Spitfire, my tam-tam as the kind of brass, also Spitfire. Basically all of the percussion which I've got for these ones, especially anything orchestral sounding, I'm getting Spitfire. Oh, here's a nice one actually. So the V-horns. I was spending ages looking for some good brass and wind samples and trying to find good saxophone VSTs. And the V-horns, when I came across them, they're a really nice sound. It's the kind of thing where even with me just using them in a very basic way, with the current tracks I've been using, I haven't really been messing with automation too much. And just I'll see if I can. So obviously, if you're just stringing it together without any of the manipulation, it can sound a little bit synthesized, because it is. Well, it's sample actually, and I don't quite know exactly what they do to it, but it can, when you're actually tweaking things around and using live modulations and automations, it's got a really good sound. The demos they've got, obviously they make the demos sound very good, but the demos do show off exactly what it can do. It gives you a nice comparison between a live version of the performance and the V-horns version of it, and it sounds really good. So I'm looking forward to keep working with them. I think definitely going to use them for a lot more of the music as well. Oh, and the Korg M1, which I used for my I just hit the mixer on something. Whoops. Used for the synth sound at the in the knockdown one. So this one here. Now, I didn't realize when I was setting this up, the original Enter the Dragon, it's got a bit of a portamento on the synth. So I've ended up using pitch bend instead of portamento because the Korg M1 doesn't actually have portamento, and I didn't realize that when I started using it, but it's actually got a really similar sound to that whatever synth it is that they use in the actual Enter the Dragon soundtrack. So I just decided, well, it works quite well, and yeah, I would say that I was introduced to this when I saw the how exactly do you pronounce his name? Is it Te Lopes? It's Portuguese name, so I can never quite remember, and I don't want to just default to the Spanish pronunciation. But Sonic Mania composer, I'm sure people have heard the music. I mean, it's just so good. But he makes use of the Korg M1 amongst other synths, and quite a good load of sounds you get out of this. So yeah, definitely if you're interested in synths like that and the old retro sounds, then I'd definitely recommend those. So yeah, the program that I'm using is FL Studio. Different people like different DAWs. This is literally just because I've gotten used to it. I think there probably are some which might have a better workflow for the kinds of music that I want to do, the more soundtracky. But I am starting to work in a bit more on music production style music as well. So I think FL Studio is pretty good for that. And really, it's just, you can make it work. It's as long as it works out in the end, then there's no real right or wrong answer about what program to use. But yes, FL Studio, and I think I've actually not updated this to the current version, so it might be a few versions behind. But I'm one of those kinds of people where I think, I don't want to update it yet, just in case it mucks around with some of the things I'm working on. Right, so that was just a nice little tour of some of the things. So yes, let's get back into trying to figure out what to do with this pause music version. So if I just strip out the brass from this and see what it sounds like on its own. And then if I take that out, because that's what it's also going to be cut down to, and then I added the solo strings. So I've got that, I don't really know how to describe this other than the horrendously stereotypical, your cartoon Chinese sound is the only way I can really describe it. I mean, I'm deliberately invoking that because it's Punch-Out and all of the characters are stereotypes, and this is, a character who is just Bruce Lee, and, so all of the trappings of that kind of 70s era, kung fu, especially like the Americanized ones where they just shove in things like that. Really just the signatures. That's got that in both the xylophone and the flutes. So I might, if I copy that in, I'm not actually doing too much composing here. I'm actually just doing a copy and paste of stuff I've already done. But if I put that in, at the very least with the flutes, we'll see how it sounds. Just flutes on their own. To go with that, and I didn't have it set beforehand. No, I had it on the beat exactly. And yeah, if I put the opening strings, it's kind of a nice sort of pad underneath almost with those strings, and they're also exactly on the beat. So let's see what that sounds like. Oh, I put it in the wrong place, of course. And also I copied the xylophone one. Hang on a sec. Do I have these the wrong way around? Have I put them in the wrong? Oh, I have. Okay. Ignore me then. I will just that down there, move that up there. I really should label these patterns. That's another thing as well. I am very, very bad at properly labeling these things. Normally, when I work on these, I don't even give them the names on the side here and even the names in here. So I end up with contact 1, contact 2, contact 3, contact 4, and just rely on remembering what I did. But I thought for the benefit of people watching, I would at least try and make it sort of user-friendly or viewer-friendly. Right, so let's try that again. We're going to copy that in, pop that in, and I actually started it in the wrong place because it starts at the half bar. Do. Ah, yes, it starts on the second bar of it, so that should... Ah, it sounds a bit weak with just those. Maybe I will put in both of them. Copy that in as well. That's what I want to do. Okay, so if I get rid of the brass on the first time, that gives a nice little contrast. So yeah, that's another thing I like to try and do. I like when the first half of the round theme and the second half of the round theme, even though they follow the same general pattern, the only real difference is the tune and the way direction it goes and how it finishes off. To actually change up what's going on underneath is quite a nice difference. So maybe bringing in the brass as a change up in the second half of it. So this. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Absolutely. Yeah, it gives a much better vibe. Now, that gives me a better idea. So if I try and do the same in the actual round music as well, so where it hits the second half, this might not work quite so well with the full thing because it's a little bit more of a condensed version of the brass. Let's see what it sounds like. No, actually that does work quite well. And that's given me an idea. I can try... I feel like I want, after all of these, just the last final note while it's just finishing off the tune. Can make the brass do just a little ending here. Oh yeah, this is a nice little neat method. So the V horns I've got set up where they're all... It's one instance of the plugin, and I'm actually using the different coloured MIDI notes, which each run to a different instrument within that, so I can actually have the chords down here, so I can see them and sort of edit them all at the time, rather than having each individual version of each trumpet or anything like that on different channels and switching back and forth. It's a pretty obvious thing to do, but nonetheless, it's something to watch out for. There's so many times where I've realised there's a much easier way of what I want to do, and then I suddenly discover it and I feel like a complete and utter idiot. So for never seeing it before. So what kind of chords do I want to do? Do I just want a straight up, just a chord? Or just do the trumpets? No, I want the feeling of it hitting. Do I want to do da? Yeah, I think take a beat off, move it like that. Got a bit more of a, it's not exactly funky, but a bit more of a syncopation to it. Very slow syncopation, but syncopation nonetheless. Let's add number 4 here. And a really basic... bit too brassy on the trombone there. Yeah, that's what I need. That C. It needs to be quiet enough on the low bit of the trumpet. And since I've edited that there, it should also be the same on the quiet demo one. So let's just see how that sounds with the... Ooh, that comes in a bit too strong. That's the problem. I mean, I can just do it as two different instances, but I really do want to try and keep the feel of just the pause music one being a simple cutback version of it. So I think maybe I'll just lower the volume on all of it, to be honest. I think it's not an important thing. Really lower, actually. Yeah, the whole thing, it's way too loud. Maybe I can't avoid that. Maybe that's... That's going to be something where... So, another little insight into my workflow when I'm doing the music. I always tend to do things sort of notes first. I'll try and set an instrument to a good level for me to work with while I'm going through the music. And then if there's automation bits that I want to do, I do it as another pass going through. But I try and note down, sort of mentally, jot down to myself, oh, you know, here or there I want to tone this down or change this setting. It's probably a bit of a, once again, a bit of a scattered way of doing things. But that tends to be my way of doing things in general. A bit scatty in here and there. So I'm just going to I'm going to cut out the I'm going to mute out the trombone on that, actually, just so when I listen to it, it doesn't stand out too badly. I think the trumpets aren't going to be too loud if I... Yeah, that's good, just to keep it down for the moment, and then I'm sure I'll come back and figure that one out. Right. So let's listen to this beginning bit of the pause music version. And then with the bass coming up. No, you know what, I think, certainly for the moment, this works quite nicely as just as a slightly stripped back version. There wasn't really too much that needed to be done on that. That was much more of a just reconfiguring the pause music section that I did have just to match up with the round music that I had as well. So now we're going to go to an actual part of composition, because I'm going to try and do the opponent knocked down one. So da, 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 da. So da, 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 da. What instrument would be good? What contrasts? Tell you what, I'm gonna... Let's just go in, let's just do a bit of my Stratus guitar. Let's just start with a pattern, let's just try putting something together, seeing what comes out of it. I'm afraid my MIDI keyboard is not... Something's gone wrong with it, so I can't actually even play into it. So I tend to, when I'm not doing that, because I don't really like using the physical QWERTY keyboard as a controller. So I might just end up manually clicking on notes to try and figure out tunes. It's a problem as well is when I'm trying to do these and changes of things, losing how much I'm speeding up or slowing down from what I've got in my head as the original sort of NES style opponent knockdown music and things like that. So sorry, I'm just going to have to re-listen back to what kind of beats I've done. So it's a chunk slower. It's normally not quite half time. So let's just rough it out. Get the basic tune. I'll make it more funky when I actually do another pass through. But for the moment, I'm just going to detail out exactly as it comes out in the original. And then I can modify it slightly. So, like time saves wherever I can. And everything's going to be the same volume as well until I go back over on the pass and readjust things as well. Very, very quantized as well, just with manual input. Oh, I'll make it into a pattern. The problem is when I'm trying to remember some of these, I've got the Mad Clown version stuck in my head, which is a modified version, of course. So I'm trying not to. I'll tell you what, you guys won't be able to hear this because I've set it up so that you guys can only hear the FL Studio. I'm actually just YouTube searching up the original Punch Out opponent down music, just so I can get the raw version in my head again of what the rhythm is. Makes it a bit... Oh, adverts. Ugh. But at least I hope you guys aren't hearing the YouTube side of things as well, because I would not want to get I don't know what kind of copyright struck or something. Okay, yeah. So that's re-cleansed, is it? Actually, I'm gonna change. Okay, that's the original. Now, this is going to be something interesting as well. I'm going to... Well, if I keep the original sample of the sampled guitar at its basic... just exactly the same pitch, not actually going to modulate, not going to change the pitch at all, because it's a lot more texture than it is actual sort of melody, that guitar. I wonder if it will still work even with the change in key. No, it doesn't. Okay, let's take this, make a copy of this, paste that in a few times, change the pitch. Modifying samples is something which I am not too familiar with, so it's a lot of just trying things out. I'm sure there are people who do loads of production things who are much more familiar with what you can do to more easily sort out samples and things like that. But for me, it's a very basics of just gonna shove the pitch up. And even then, it's a minor chord which it's bunking in. But let's see how that sounds. Maybe if I listen to some of the other samples I've got from that. That one's a little bit more. The problem is that they're all in a minor key. So I think actually this might be the best I can do is putting it in putting it into C and then hoping that along with everything else that's going to be in the background of this that it's not going to be too bad. Okay, let's get the drums in here. Put it in just raw as is, but I might change things around for the beat. Actually, what I can do is I can chop and change this around actually. I just... because that's missing the third. I can just... As I said, I'm not very accomplished with this. Let's just remove that out. Dodge that in. Can I get away with it again here? Maybe? Just to keep it... That's the problem sometimes, is that when something just... It's amazing how much the third can really cut through. This is something which I've noticed sometimes when people are sort of starting out doing music things and they put things together and they pitch something up and down and it's not actually changing the key when you're moving around a scale and, you know, sort of relative parts of the scale, and you've got like a sample or something like that, and you're shifting it up. They don't take into account the fact that the sample is originally minor, but the note of the scale that they're in, that they're moving it up to, means that the chord, to keep it sounding nice, would need to be major, and it doesn't sound right. And it sounds, if you're doing it deliberately, you can make it sound interesting. But the problem is that if you're not meaning to do it, it can really clash in your ear. So let's just... immediately that changes it. I know it's not going to be the best manipulation of a sample that you've ever seen, but it's good enough for what I want to do. So let's just copy that in. I know there's a shortcut to do a quick sample, but I'm not going to be able to remember that while I'm still figuring out what I'm doing streaming, so... Okay, let's change up the beat here. So... change the hi-hat to be a little bit sample, so I'm just gonna... Yeah, that hi-hat's at hit on that bit. Yeah, I think that's gonna... And let's see. Took out all of the snares, didn't I? Yeah, so let's put in back some snares. It's going to be a little bit more hard on that. It's not quite just straight backbeat, but let's pop in a straight backbeat. Just to change it. Made it a rim shot so it's a little bit thin. And then just get this all in there. Simple cut and paste, very rudimentary, just filling it out to get the general feel of it. Oh, change that one because that's what... Ooh, that one as well. Right, let's try that again. Okay, we want to change the snare again to make it a bit more funky, a bit more like that. So, I'm gonna put it back to the. Let's just select this section, make it around that. Make it just hit slightly early. I'm trying not to make it sound a bit more like a calypso beat, but what does that sound like? Different enough. I'm not sure if it's exactly the kind of funk I'm going for. This is the problem. I'm not a drummer, so sometimes I can just rely on using some of my musical knowledge of things that I've seen and heard, and occasional videos that I've watched of people teaching sort of funk drumming and stuff like that. Yeah, nah, it's growing on me a little bit actually. Let's just paste that in. That was the tom. Let's take out the tom on that second bit. That needs to be another ghost note there. In fact, yeah, I say another ghost note, actually make it a ghost note. Sort of quite good for just adding texture to drums is the ghost notes on snares. It's actually so quiet it didn't come through at all. More like that. And then to finish off the section, just a little bit more, not as big as a fill on the drums, but just enough to sort of make it clear that that's the end of a 4-bar section of it. Maybe toms instead. That's different enough that it might... Okay. I'm still not really happy with what the guitar's doing. I kind of want to give it a bit more of that. The problem is the only way I can try and make it, the only way that's sort of speaking to me with the funky rhythm is actually speeding it up, but I need to be consistent with the rest of it. and the other bits sort of slow down the actual tune and then sort of add extra bits in to make it more funky. Maybe I can do that, something like that. Is that not? So. Nah, this is going to double time it though, that's the problem. Ah, maybe something. This is difficult. The feel of it makes me want to do one thing, the logic of it makes me need to do another. I feel like I'm starting to get a bit less funk and a bit too much sort of Latin in there, which is not quite what I want, but it might have to do for now. Sometimes I've found that just putting something in and then coming back to it later and then realizing, yeah, that's, you know, complete rubbish, and change it all out and chop it all out and switch it up. But just having something in there to fill the gap means that you can get other things to work around it, and then you can retool it, and something will come to you in the end. But yeah, I think this is going to be just filler for the moment. If I just leave it on C but just put a rhythm on it, even just work it all out and then chop and paste into that, shove it up. Not what I want it to be, but just enough to have something syncopated in there that I can make other things work off of. So I need to get the bass in here as well. So the usual bass that I've had for the main sections. Just listening to it to try and see what feel I want. Maybe, and then with the Mac knockdown section, I'd cut it back a bit. This is the thing sometimes when I'm kind of a little bit stuck on something, it's just oftentimes taking a few goes of listening around to something, just shoving bits down and seeing what comes of it. Sometimes what's necessary. I'm gonna just copy that. First of all, I need something which is going to be in the actual rect key as well. So that's in the G, so just shove it up to the B flat for the relative major. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to want this pattern. Just something fill up this. Yeah, this is again where that problem comes in, where these sections need to be in the major key for the victory theme. I'm going to have to think of the victory theme as well when I come to that, as well as the opponent knockdown music, but the music that I'm trying to reference is only in a minor key, so trying to keep that same vibe just it's a little bit frustrating sometimes. Oh, well, I can actually change my avatar. There we go. I'm frustrated. Look at how frustrated I am, or angry. I'm going to keep that on while I'm puzzling this out. It's my thinking face. I've been told often that I look a bit like an axe murderer if I'm thinking too hard, so it's a bit too light up there, so let's just drop the octave. I think I want it to be Good. Fingered on there, so sort of a couple of pops there. Just going to take that as a basic pattern. Once again, sometimes it's just about putting filler in just to get the framework of it. It starts sounding a bit like a, I don't know, like this should be a beach episode or something of a. I know it's going to be B flat again, and then bar. No, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound right at all. Maybe if I keep it on the B flat, have the chords change around it, but keep a. It's called a pedal bass when it stays on the same note underneath with chords changing above. Okay. So having it go down. This is a puzzling one. Doesn't quite feel right, but maybe I can do something. Actually, I was going to go back to the drums now that I've just done something like that. That just had the occasional open hat hit was actually quite a feel, so. Actually, going to use that one to be one. Those are too closed. That's not quite the right one. No, I will have to do it down here.
Yeah, let's just copy that in. And get rid of it for that because it's got the tom fill going down. And that one I just need to remove that. That would just add a little bit extra. It's impossible for that to actually be. That's also the problem sometimes with me not being a drummer, is naturally when you're just penciling in, you're just penciling in notes onto a computer, you accidentally create things which sound nice to you, and then you find out they're completely and utterly impossible to play, or just doesn't make sense, or the drummer has to suddenly grow a third hand with another stick and bash a cymbal in a different way. But it works for the moment. Let's see how. Maybe if I just put some of the other bits which were kind of giving the pattern, maybe that will just make it feel a little bit better. If I put strings underneath, let's see. Take those, just modify what the chords we have. So just cut all of this out. Ooh. Definitely going to be every 2. Yeah, that's all I need to do is just need to change G's to F's or B flats, or sharps as it says here. It just sounds completely the wrong vibe. It's not what I want. So maybe I need a crunchier chord. Let's see what can. Maybe I can figure out a way to make it slightly crunchier, so not just straight major for it, even though it's nominally meant to be the relative major. Maybe I can figure out something. I'm going to stop being angry for the moment. Let's just go back to maybe what's this is also a puzzle one. Go with that. Ooh. Let's just add the G back in there. Let's just take that out for the moment. This just sounds. It sounds not quite right. God, no, I'm gonna be angry again. I'm gonna be angry again. It's not playing ball with me today. Maybe I leave this. Maybe I leave this for a second. I'm just bashing my head against a brick wall at the moment here. So, that wants to cause it to be. Get rid of that. Look a bit funny. Yeah, I'm gonna just have a little think on that. Okay, what else? What other sections do we have? We've got the round loss, got the round victory. Round victory, I'm going to have exactly the same problem of trying to figure out how the hell do I make this major vibe work. So that's going to be a real puzzler. Let's just shove that to the side. I think I know what I want the sound of the defeat one. I think this synth needs to come back again, so let's get this. New pad, where is it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Or maybe the synth just... Or maybe something else does the actual main theme. What do we have? It's got a nice little transform on that and the natural thing. So maybe I do leave it just to have that sound come in. But maybe I'm going to do that as a pitch bend. So at the very least for this, I've got it. I'm going to have to do it manually with pencil in. Ooh, there is sense to begin with. That down and then give that a little bit of click up, bit too slow. That. Ooh, that's way too high. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit off pitch because it gives it that kind of natural feel. But I do want it to return. No, I want it to drop before it gets, before the next note plays. Or maybe I just straight up drop it, immediate cutoff. Ah, and I think I know exactly what I want. A variation on the xylophone and flute things there. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Just that last bit, not the first bit. Dun, 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 dun. Let's take that. Put this in the right place. Dun, 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 dun. Let's just add the tam-tam here as well. Right place. On the beat there. And the flute. Copy that pattern as well. And have I done the same thing again? Yeah, I have done. Got to keep remembering which one I'm putting where. So, put the pattern there. Get this. That's the thing. I do like using key switches and with these manual ones here, but it does mean that I have to sometimes just scroll down endlessly to try and get to them, to delete them in some cases. But then in that case, this needs to cut off slightly earlier. Slightly longer than that. Yeah, that's kind of what I want. Let's add the sample guitar in. I think this might be another call for. Let's just put the basic one in. Oh, that's the different pattern. What's the basic pattern? That's the basic pattern. How does this fit in with the... Not quite right, but I'll put it in anyway and figure out what I'm doing with it. Let's just drag from all of these other versions as well. I've got itch in C, got C, D, and... Oh wait, no, it's the numbers which are different, isn't it? 01, 03, 04. I didn't put in 02, so 01. Oh, that's the basic pattern. So 2. Preview them again. It's a better rhythm actually. Let's just intersperse these. See what the patterns actually say. Oh, I do. I like bits from that, but I don't like that pattern raw, so... Just switch these around to see what's... Yeah, definitely that for that part. Feels the right funky rhythm. What does number 4 actually sound like? Something about that. Let's chop this. Let's just cut this for some of its glorious guts to use in other bits. I like. So I'm keeping that. Let's keep that as well. Okay, I'm just going to keep those as separate bits, just there and maybe. Okay, let's pop this in here. What do I do with these? Yeah, let's do that. Ah, this is probably what I might want this. Ooh, what's it doing there? Yeah, let's shut that in place. Go into the let's chop this out. Sorry, I'm being a bit quiet now at this part. Just trying to focus a little bit on the what I've got in my mind, trying to get this pattern down. Okay, let's. It's not quite right. That out. That down there. Just needs another scratch in. And let's just get that one in there again. That as the final. That ends the final one to hit on the beat. And that abrupt cutoff will probably be disguised by something like the tam-tam hit. So let's see how that comes in. Just rhythmically. Ah, there's a little bit of that. Ah, that's a 2-hit. That's why it's a problem. Got to chuck it rather than just a whack. Do any of the that one does. That final hit there. Da, 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 da. Yes, on the beat. And cut off that last scratch. And yeah, there we go. Okay. And I'm not going to change the pitch on that at the moment. Just because it's more texture than anything else. The bass, I'm going to copy from this later part, chop it down a little bit, make sure it hits a little bit earlier, need to track it to be a bit earlier so it would actually be on time on the beat, because its samples are a bit funky and don't actually sound when they're meant to. I know there's a whole thing of sort of pre-delays, but I've yet to actually properly figure that one out, so... Do. Oh, that was weird. I'm gonna be really cheesed off if I've actually got this key wrong as well, because the defeated, it has a very specific relation to it. I'm actually just going to, I'm going to be popping into my YouTube again, just to try and listen to. I'm actually going to listen to one of my ones, just on the side, just to see what the key relations are. I'm just waiting on another YouTube advert for me, so just gonna be 2 seconds. Apologize for it being a bit quiet at the moment. So Yeah, I have done it wrong. That's why. That's what it should be, actually. It should be... Because this should start in the right key and then it actually... I might need to change what the flutes are doing and the xylophones are doing there as well, but... I'll make it a short pop. It needs to be slightly longer. And I also need that. We need this one to get more rather than pop. What I'd really like to do is maybe try and see if I can find a vocal sample of a Bruce Lee style sort of scream, that kind of that fighting. What's the term for it? I think the Japanese term is like the kiai, like that, the sort of effort noise as you're doing martial arts. I know that once again I'm trying to heavily reference, and deliberately so, the Enter the Dragon theme, which I know has a lot of heavy reverberation on some screams like that. So I think, oh, I've just looked at my chat, I'm still angry. Ah, here we go. Right. Let's see. Ooh. Okay. Oh, sorry, I've been neglecting chat again. Ah, hello, Amigus. Or how? Amigus? Not Amogus. Right. Let's see. Oh, we've still got 9 people here. Quite nice to see. Thank you guys for sticking around. I appreciate it. It's got its ups and downs, this stream, as to whether we're actually making progress or sort of spinning our wheels. But well, that's the process. That's part of making music. Sometimes it works out nicely. Sometimes it's a little bit of a stick in the mud. Let's see. Yes, the actually, yeah, I remember when I was going through and I was talking through the what I was using the VSTs, I mentioned that these were sample guitars, but I didn't actually mention what they were. It's the 0G samples, actually. It's the oh, I've forgotten the name of the pack, but it's the reason why I got them. I'll tell you what, I'm good. I'll take this as a moment just to have a sit back. I've got a cup of tea with me, so I'm just going to take a take a drink while I sort of sit back. Maybe leaving the music for a moment might give me a chance for my brain to catch up. But yeah, the samples I actually ended up getting because I was searching for the very specific samples that were used in the Tekken 3 soundtrack. And in fact, you guys will probably be able to hear. If you, tell you what, I'll give you a second to chat participation time. Hands up in chat, anyone who does know the Tekken 3 soundtrack enough that they would recognize some samples, maybe. I don't know. But yes, there's the sample itself, specifically one of them, in fact it's also in the itching section, is some samples from Hwarang's theme in Tekken 3. I'll just see if I can find them. Where is it? So yeah, basically those two just back to back. Pretty much, I think, exactly in that key as well. I mean, as happened with a lot of the like PlayStation composers and things like that, you would just use whatever you had to hand and just put it in nice and simple, not even necessarily mess around with it too much, not even chop and change it too much. It was pretty good. So that's literally why I got these 0G samples, was I was just checking out these some of these old things and thinking, where did they actually get those samples? And there's some of those YouTube channels which like to detail what samples came from where, and actually I think I started doing that because of the Spyro games. Actually, there's a very dedicated group of people who use the who made the Spyro font, sound font, which I've used occasionally some things, and they've gone through and compiled and gathered samples from many places, and there's this 0G, the Spectrasonics, and all these different things like that. And that actually started me down the path of looking and seeing, oh, actually, yeah, a lot of these PlayStation 1 games and that era of music use a lot of these same samples. Oh yes, curious what inspired me to do that. So the Punch-Out themes, literally, I'm trying to remember, which one did I start off with? Narcissus Prince, that was it, wasn't it? I actually just, I think I was just playing around with the instruments that I ended up using in the Narcissus Prince one. I was playing around with the harpsichord sound that I had, and I think just when I was noodling around with it, I actually just followed the pattern of the Punch-Out sort of round music, and then immediately thought, oh, harpsichord, oh, I wonder, it might give a bit more of a full sound, and I tried to think which characters would work with that. And then I obviously ended up on Narcissus Prince. I mean, to be fair, I'm not even actually a Punch-Out player. I think I tried playing an emulated version of the original NES, and I'm absolutely terrible. I am just bad. But I'm sure if I actually sort of gave it a proper go, I could learn it. But just never really got the time, and I never had it on any of the music. But it was actually the GDQ runs of Punch-Out, which like the blindfolded one, the Zalad one, and is it Sinister? Is the other one who does the blindfolded ones? Like, I knew Punch-Out before, and I knew of all the characters and everything like that, and they're kind of like a staple almost of gaming culture by now. But yeah, that kind of inspired me looking more into characters. Who do I plan on doing next? So after Dragon Chat, so I might, as I said before, I don't know, I can't remember if my viewers have been sort of cycling around, if people have been coming and going or whatnot, but I mentioned before that I have actually been working on this Dragon Chan one for quite a while. It's just struggling to get that sound sort of exactly what I want. So I think, yeah, what I'm going to try and think of is Masked Muscle is a good shout. The thing which I want to do, and the problem with some of the characters is trying to find their own niche. So the Masked Muscle one, I can't. Someone in one of the comments on one of my video on the Piston Hurricane one, I think it was talking about. I think they literally said just add an accordion to the to the Piston Hurricane one, and you've basically got a Masked Muscle. What I'm thinking is to kind of get a bit of the wrestling feel. I was going to try and look up and see the kinds of music used by sort of the more Mexican specific, like lucha libre wrestlers, just because while I am kind of a fan of wrestling in and out, I'm not quite so familiar with the Mexican scene. And I think, to be fair, I guess nowadays everyone uses kind of like a pretty, you know, everyone has, you know, someone will have rap, someone will have you know, metal, someone will have just classic rock kind of things, pretty varied in their entrance themes. But I might try and go for something which is trying to figure out the distinction between Masked Muscle and the a lot more sort of celebratory kind of Latin style for Piston Hurricane. But I'll probably add, you know, a bit more like rock guitars to it or something like that, trying to differentiate. So I'm probably going to play around with the Masked Muscle idea. Maybe I'll do another stream sort of playing around with some of the ideas on that, and see what comes of it. The other ones which I'm sort of tossing around the ideas for and trying to think of genres for, it's, how do you pronounce his name? The other Japanese one, is it Heike? Heike Kaguro? Kaguro? I think I've got the names written. I think I opened tabs up looking at the characters. Where is he? It's Heike Kagero. Yeah, Heike Kagero. And what I was trying to do is, it's difficult because the actual character and when I'm trying to do these, I am trying to, as much as they're very sort of stereotypical music that they use, really trying to make sure it is matched up to the character. And Heike or Kagero is meant to be the kabuki theater kind of character. And the problem is that the existing music for Piston Honda is already very traditional Japanese. It's very much the taiko, it's the koto in the background. So I thought, okay, well, what might they do if they actually did include him? And if Piston Honda is sort of gives you a bit more of that traditional, like, I am, you know, a traditional Japanese sort of fighter, I guess, but as a boxer, maybe I might try putting more of like lean in more of the, is it the Bishonen? The pretty boy kind of factor for Kagero, and use something, maybe look at a bit more Japanese rock, Japanese pop, like, get the J-pop, J-rock kind of feel, and imagine him as a bit more of that as a character, a bit more of just like the flashy kind of pop guy. So that's just sort of boiling around in the back of my head. But once again, there's a few sort of, you know, Japanese things, just trying to, I'll probably need to look into them and try and get the style pretty solidified in my head, and then start working with that. And actually, now that when I'm looking at the list of characters for Super Punch-Out, the only other ones really are Rick and Nick and Gabby J. Oh, Hoi Kualo. Yeah, Hoi Kualo is going to be a pretty easy one to try and change up. He's going to be, rather than this kind of funk Bruce Lee style thing, it's going to be much more try and get the traditional, or even more traditional Chinese. Still kind of playing around with the stereotypes, but I might sort of look into some more sort of traditional music, maybe see what I can do with that. So yeah, there are a lot of them. I've got ideas bouncing around in the back, but it's just going to be trying to nail it down and get it going. Rick and Nick Bruiser are probably going to be a pretty difficult one to try and figure out for, because I'm just going to open up their pages and look, where are they actually from? because I was gonna think of like pretty hard rock or something like that, but Sandman in Punch-Out Wii already has a pretty heavy sound, and I don't want it to sound too much like that. But where are they? Does it? Oh, it doesn't say where they're from. Okay. Yeah, they don't have a. Okay, they don't actually have a place. That makes it even harder. They are going to be difficult. I think I remember someone commenting as well on Gabby J, and I think Amigus, your Gabby J one, it played into the sort of like an idea of a French mime more, and that's one of the interesting things as well. Is like I was thinking about the Heike, you sort of changing it up a little bit, like actually giving some extra bits to the gimmick which didn't necessarily come through in the original games, like how the Punch-Out Wii Disco Kid is kind of a reimagining of Kid Quick, but with like an actual personality which you can interact with of like a disco guy, a boxer-sized guy. So yeah, maybe trying to think up something as to distinguish, Gabby J from Glass Joe and the Bruiser Brothers from Sandman. I like to think that the Bruiser Brothers might be. Yeah, I'm trying to remember actually now, because let's look at their page again. They're because with a name like Rick Bruiser and Nick Bruiser, the Japanese, it is literally just a direct translation. It just gives you such sort of quintessential, almost like I don't know, this just screams a sort of 80s kind of, I don't know, I can see these guys cropping up in some sort of 80s movie. If Punch-Out was an 80s movie, like the Bruiser Brothers are definitely a feature of that, and they've just got that kind of meaty American muscle. Oh yes. The two hurricanes. Because I was trying to consider that. I decided that I didn't think, or certainly not at the moment, I didn't think I would be able to differentiate the sort of the father-son dynamic of the two different versions of the hurricanes. I did like the idea that you did that. Actually, it made it quite a good distinction between the two of them. Who knows? Maybe at some point I'll come back and I might just give it an idea of a quick variation on the Piston Hurricane theme that I have. But I mean, I quite like that you did it. I wouldn't want to just steal your thunder on that. But yeah. So yeah, as you're saying, like the lateral thinking, the trying to extrapolate upon these characters, and I like to, even though these are not, I'm not doing this for a mod, or I'm not doing them for like with any idea of actually making the characters, or even while I've been trying to get back into some art, I don't think I'd be good for drawing the characters anytime soon. Maybe I'll give it a go as to what my imaginings would be, but even so, even if I'm just doing the music for things like this, I do like to try and imagine what would the character look be, what would the character be wearing. I saw plenty of interesting comments people had left in my videos, sort of thinking through character quotes and what they would do in their title defense, or sort of all the little extra bits like that. I mean, that's stuff which I love doing as well. It's really interesting. Sort of actually fleshing out the character beyond even just the music and looking at these things, and yeah, I always just find that good fun to do. Oh, do we know if there are any actually active sort of fan games or mods for things like that, like, because I'd be really interested, you know, not even necessarily in regards to my music or anything, just actually out of sheer interest, if there is anyone trying to sort of create like the Super Punch Out characters in a Punch Out Wii mod or anything like that. Does anyone know if there's anything like that? Oh, another sip of tea. Yeah, maybe at some point down the line someone might, but yeah. I've just realised that the chat on my stream, I think, updates a little bit later. Got a bit of a delay. I think it's going through Streamlabs, so I don't know if that gives it a bit of time. But I guess sometimes I might be reacting to messages which haven't even appeared on screen yet. But yeah, no, I would be very interesting in seeing if people are doing that. I mean, I've got a few other projects on the go at the moment, so even if someone was doing that, it would be more of a casually checking in and seeing how people were doing on it. But I mean, if anyone ever seems oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's another thing as well. Even just things like that, when people play other music in the background of it, or sort of edit it into videos and things like that, and say, you know, what if, you know, this person, this fan theme was used, or things like that. Oh yeah, I've seen some of the it's always interesting because I swear with projects like that, you always get these fan games which, you know, sort of say, oh, this series hasn't had a game for, you know, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I'm going to make one. I want to bring it back. And then inevitably, the owners of the IP sort of suddenly reveal, just as the fan games, you know, have been out for maybe a year or so, and they suddenly reveal, oh yeah, well, we're doing an official one. So who knows? Maybe with all of the similar Punch-Out ones, maybe there will be a maybe there will be another official Punch-Out again. I'd be interested to see if there will ever be another Punch-Out. Yeah. Right, I think either that's enough of a break, or I'll see if I can see how my brain's thinking about these things music-wise. Try and get back to it. If I'm finding that I'm just not feeling it, I might call stream in a bit. But if it suddenly seems to pick up, then maybe I'll go for a bit longer. It has just gone past midnight here, so I don't want to stay up too late, although I don't have anything on tomorrow, so if I do go on a roll, then I probably will stick up. I've got an absolutely abysmal sleep schedule, so what else can I add to that? Yeah, maybe so like a Punch-Out Wii ports, you mean? Because I feel like if they did that it would be enough of an investment. I would hope that they might even add a couple of extra things, like how the Donkey Kong one as like a sort of bonus fight, even if they were to just sort of add in like another extra bonus character or something like that. I wonder who would be an interesting... Actually, yeah, come to think of it, I was going to say, like, I've been focusing on the Super Punch-Out characters. I think someone definitely asked me before if I was going to look at other ones. I mean, it very much might depend on how long this takes me going for these. I'm you know, not only doing the Super Punch-Out music in other projects that I'm doing, so it's not the only thing I've got going on. So there might be a point I might just take a step back from the Punch-Out ones, try something else, release some videos on something else, come back to maybe some of the other Punch-Out ones. But I was seeing, because I remember someone pointed out Texas Mac, and I've completely forgot about the arm wrestling arcade game. Although I think the only one who really kind of appeals is Texas Mac in that, to be honest. Because The other ones, just I only gave them a quick glance. Maybe I'll look into it a bit more. Maybe I'll get some ideas on that. But they just didn't quite speak to me as much as some of the other ones did. Although I keep forgetting that there's that Kabuki guy who basically looks just like E Honda. So somehow make a crossover of Street Fighter and Punch Out, which isn't Smash Bros. And see what comes of that. Right. Back to this, see what comes of it, and then see how I feel. Let's just put the bongo pattern in. Actually, I'll make it a different version so I can cut it off a little short to match with the cheers for coming along. How is it that you pronounce it? I keep fumbling over it because I'm just thinking Amigus, or I assume it's like Amigus, like me, like the wee me's, and then goose. But yeah, no, thanks for coming along, and thanks everyone else also for coming along. It's been wonderful just doing this as a first YouTube stream, and already having, you know, like 7 viewers. I've got a current live count, 7 viewers or so anyway. Yeah, it's wonderful to have this kind of interest in these things. So thank you so much for coming, everyone. Maybe I'll do it. Something like that, just to keep like a... Is that extending a bit too much? Amigos. Okay. I'll, amigos. Okay, I think I've got that locked in. I'll try and get it right if you pop in next time I stream. I'll try and remember that. But cheers, thanks for coming. No, I don't like that extension. I'm gonna make it land on the beat the same with everything else. So... Actually, yeah, just simply cutting that down actually isn't too bad. Okay. Drums. What are the drums going to be doing? Copy this. A lot of the simple pattern works. Actually, yeah, I can keep that pattern pretty similar. Cymbal crash on the end. Go for that. think that makes it physically possible. Once again, trying to figure out exactly what is physically possible for a drummer without actually going into the nitty-gritty and color coordinating each limb to try and figure it all out. But that should give a good enough approximation. It's at least functional for the moment. Brass. Do I want brass? Maybe I might add brass into that. Oh, actually, I just remembered. I think the original Enter the Dragon, in the section which was kind of inspired by that sound, I think it had a piano added. So I'm just gonna add in a piano there. Playing the timpani. Take that out. Oh yeah. If you're interested in what kind of samples I've got, then I mean, here's a whole bunch of names on all of these. So, or at least I assume you guys can see that on stream. Actually, I don't know if. Oh yeah, you can. Let's see, contact sample libraries on that one. Instrument pianos. Piano on here? No, I don't. But I've got a Spitfire piano. Use one of those ones. Where do we? Oh, piano's going to be a bit too soft. Probably. Yeah, just use the orchestral grand for the moment. Ah, yes, and I'll use the punchy version. Right. And this is another case where probably getting a beefier computer would be nice. It sometimes takes a while for it to load samples. So really, yeah, I could do with investing in a bit more of a beefier setup, but we'll work our way towards that. Probably doesn't help with streaming at the same time. Might just add that little extra bit to work with. Keep it close, Mike. It's a bit dry. Turn the expression down. I guess it is just to add a little bit extra into the background. Let's leave it like that for now. Let's just make sure that's renamed. Piano. And let's find space for it somewhere on here. And from what I remember, piano does pretty similar thing to the bass in the original. I'm just going to name this piano. Oh, not pano, piano. And give myself a new pattern and try out that. Da, da, da. Yes, just to add that little extra sound on to go with the bass, but I might just to really make sure I'm getting the sound right. Dun, dun, dun. I don't need to necessarily have it match the rhythm exactly. It's got that, that heterophonic kind of expression there. Yeah, there we go. And I might just pan it slightly over to the right, just to change the sonic profile, or however you describe that. One of the big problems I always find as well is trying to figure out exactly how much reverb I want on things. I think this is sounding a little bit dry. The Enter the Dragon theme has quite a bit of reverb, definitely in the orchestra. The orchestra definitely sounds like it's been recorded in quite a large sort of concert hall. But I'm only just putting notes in at the moment. All of those extra bits like balancing and everything like that will definitely come later. So just listen to that again. Okay, I think that's at least the basic framework. I might add a couple more instruments to that later. So we've got Mac Knockdown, we've got that is Defeat. Let's listen to this. Just take the strings out, it's ruining even what is there. It's gonna be a real tough one, that. And so will the victory theme as well. I think the victory theme might be a bit easier to at least get the funk feel. So if I just copy this, just put in a section, I can at least put the guitar into. Good ghost note there. That's one beat off. Okay, a little bit easier with the pattern. That's another thing as well. If the guitar sounds a little bit choppy to anyone else, it definitely sounds a little bit choppy to me. Even though it's meant to be that kind of muted funk guitar sound, what I'm actually going to do is I am going to go back in, and I've got it set to like a mute patch on the sound, muted guitar patch. But what I'll probably want to do is go through and each individual note decide if I want it sort of a more open sound, tweak it, fiddle around with that. But that's going to be such a small, tiny amount of nitty-gritty details, and you'd just be listening to exactly the same guitar sound again and again and again and again and again, 20 times more than I'm already doing. So I don't think anyone wants to be put through that willingly. I sometimes suffer for even doing it to myself, but such is the way it is sometimes. Do it the the tune. Might just cop that fully in there. That starts sounding a bit more country rock than funk, but yeah, maybe I will make it a whole tone. Once again, the kind of the little bends on that is meant to be a little bit more like the actual sort of funk kind of slide up bends, but that's going to come once again with deciding on the open ones, putting little slides in, something like that. But actually, I should be able to do a slide. It's that key switch, isn't it? Ah. Maybe that's not. Ah, that's the problem. It can't deal with the polyphony. Yeah, that's the thing to watch out for. Sometimes you want to make the guitar sort of slide up between pairs of notes, and the problem is it sees 4 notes and it tries to slide between any of them and can't figure it out. So I'm sure there is a way in which I can work it out with the IS Impact Soundworks guitars, but I haven't properly figured it out yet, or if I did ever figure it out, I've forgotten it in time. Okay, that puts a basis on that. Maybe I'll. Yeah, I'm just gonna copy that. Copy those there, and just put that with here. Nice and simple, just copy and paste. Yeah, that works. That makes my job much more simple. And in fact, I can probably take the congas from here. Do they hit the same? Certainly for the moment it does. Yeah, this is. So at least this has sort of blocked them out a bit. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm just going to give myself. Actually, yeah, we're missing one section, aren't we? What section are we missing? We've got the intro theme, we've got the round theme, we've got the pause theme, we've got the Mac knockdown, the opponent knockdown. That's defeat. Victory. It's the moving on theme, that's it. Tell you what, I'll give just in case there's anyone here who wasn't here from the beginning and didn't hear the beginning parts of the theme, I'm going to start playing that while I'm just going to see if I can come up with anything for the moving on theme, and if not, I might be calling it there with this as a final little listen through. But I'll just play it for you guys while I have a think. I'm not going to play the major bits. I think they're still too patchy. They're still a little bit too off. Okay, so Kia. Feels like it's probably going to be brass for that moving on thing. But at the very least I can try something with that. Let's clone that. Have a play around with the sound here, so that's definitely, I think it's definitely going to be the brass for that. I think, you know what, I think that's probably going to be it for me tonight. And what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to spend a good bit of time properly listening to the Enter the Dragon theme to try and see if I can plunder it for a couple more sections, see if there's anything else which I can get, or just get the right kind of sound, the right kind of vibe, especially for those major sections, because it's frustratingly just not quite right. But I'm sure that just with a bit more thinking, and maybe what it will take actually is just hunting around a bit more of the soundtrack, seeing if there's any other sections where it's got the same sound but it's slightly different music, and I might be able to take some inspiration from there. So yeah, it's just going to need a little bit more listening and a little bit more research beforehand, I think. And then yeah, just to give you guys a heads up on, I know we chatted about this before, but Headspace, I'm not entirely sure when this one's going to be done, when it's going to be sort of all figured out. I will be, taking. I do like to, sometimes it's a pretty quick release between these punch out videos, just because an idea can really just, shoot out of my brain and come fully formed on the onto the screen, as it were. But other times it really takes a little bit of hammering things out and working it out, and this one's taking that, it seems. But I might play around with a couple of ideas of like a masked muscle one, see if anything pops out to me for that, or as I said, the sort of J-pop, J-rock idea for I can never remember his name, but the pretty boy. And maybe put my mind to one of the Bruiser brothers, see if I can find something that works with them and maybe distinguishes between the two of them. But for now, thank you so much everyone who came along to listen to this. It means a lot to me that you actually decided to come along and listen to this. It's been great get a chance to try and sort of share this with people. And thank you to everyone who's been listening and leaving comments and likes and everything on the music. It's Heiki Kagero. There we go. Thank you. I knew I always get some parts of it, and then I think I second guess myself, and I forget. But yeah, Heiki Kagero. maybe sort of give a thing to his. But yeah, no, thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming along. And I will definitely make sure to put up a community note post and a Twitter post next time I decide to do something like this. It might be soon. I might try and make this a regular thing. I'm in general sort of looking into streaming in general as a fun thing to try and do on evenings. So it might change up content between music bits, maybe some games depending on the night. I will of course make sure, just in if anyone's here just for the music bits, I will of course make it clear whether if I do decide to do gaming streams on here, what's a gaming stream, what's a music stream, just so you guys know exactly what content you're coming for. But I might even switch. I do have a Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/barbedfire. So I might even split it between games on one platform and music on the other. I'll just see what comes of it. It's a very experimental time in terms of streaming and seeing what comes of it. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for coming. I'm going to test out my OBS buttons to see if the ending stream button works. But once again, thank you so much for coming along, and I hope to see you next time I do a stream. Thank you so much.